Yeah! It's gonna be a good day, boys! Yeah!
Week Tooheys.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Week Tooheys new Game 2 post wrap-up of the playoffs.
The Week
You're listening
Tooheys.
to Trash Talk here with Fish and Seko.
Mate, Week Tooheys of
Now we're so high.
of the freaking playoffs, mate. Mate.
Here they came. They
Wow.
saw, they came, they conquered.
If you didn't catch it last week, we did our VB playoff special. Was a hit and a success.
I'd hope it's a success.
I hope
we got
so.
7 views.
7. That's a whole 7 views.
That's a whole one more than 6.
And by the way, it's really only 5 because both of us clicked on it at least once. But mate, what a good one. And we're back with our new sponsor.
Welcome
Sponsor.
to Who's New to the party.
Cheers, mate.
Only reason why we're drinking your beer is because of the pun.
And it was cheap.
There's no lie around that.
Yeah, we were searching for a good pun today and we found it.
And we found it.
Mate, what a start to
argue.
these playoffs, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we hyped it up as much as we possibly could last week, and it's all rolled around now, and there's been
happening.
some disappointments.
It's
There's
happening.
been some really big surprises.
Yeah.
There's been
surprises.
tosses and turns, and it
Huge
was always
surprises.
going to happen that way. And I think just not in the way that we were entirely expecting or hoping. Some people
Nah.
would argue, especially the entire country of Canada.
I think, yeah.
But
Maple Leaf Square or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
the flag wavers.
Maple Leaf Nation is
It's a great week for them. And when we say great, we mean not great.
really not great
Terrible
for them.
week.
They've had a really
Terrible week for the
bless them.
country of Canada, if you are a country, in fact.
You'd hope so.
I'd hope so, seeing
You'd
as
hope there'd be
they've
some
got a
kind of
flag.
legislation.
What do they
Dude,
get
we've
involved?
got a flag.
Do they get involved on Flag Day? Not sure.
We're not sure. That's also another thing that we got as Australians have got to get on board.
Yeah, more
We need
Flag Day.
Day.
And we need a.
Think of it. It's like another Australia Day.
It's
Think
like
of
a
it.
day to drink more of this liquid gold.
And speaking of that, we've got Anzac Day coming up, and this podcast is going to be going on after that. Thankfully, because I think I'm going to be somewhat dead and buried.
I think we both will.
You know,
both will.
We're paying homage to the fighters,
To the troops, mate.
to the troops,
To the
that defended our
legends,
country.
the Aussie
So-
legends that have...
So we'd like to take this
the
moment.
Aussie and New Zealand.
Yeah, the Australian and the New Zealand,
Yep.
to dedicate this podcast to the very few of you that will be watching it.
But, mate, have us
Be forever in our
safe
hearts.
and happy Anzac Day. Send it for the troops. To the troops, God bless you guys for doing an awesome job. To the
And-
ones gone before us, thank you.
And thank you. Speaking of days past, Seko, I know he's been an all-time favourite player of yours, but Rajon Rondo has been Rick Carlisle, the Dallas Mavericks coach, has been quoted in saying that Rondo will not return in a Mavericks jersey this season.
Happened this morning.
How
Woke up
much?
to it.
How much I'm just going to highlight on this quote first. Those last 2 words in this season. Do you think it should just be ever? Or do you think that it'll just be this season if something doesn't get reprimanded?
Oh, look, mate, I don't know. Obviously, the Rondo thing didn't go the way that Dallas kind of hoped it would. And it's really disappointing because he was my favourite player. Not in Boston colours anymore, so it's not, as big a deal. But
You don't have
I don't
that.
know. I don't know, man. I just can't see him returning. He's obviously not a fit in their system. And I see him wanting to get a max contract this summer. People keep saying him on the Lakers is done. I don't know if it's done, but there will be teams like that. Maybe the Knicks or something that'll throw a lot of money at him. But it's just
a shame
it's
to see him.
upsetting. It really
Not
is.
in that real pinnacle role of his that we grew to know and love during those 08,
playoff,
09
playoff Rondo was
seasons.
just a beast, and
there were glimpses, though. There were glimpses in his first game.
I
He
thought
had
so
two
too.
Two of those layups that first quarter. There were kind of glimpses where we started warming our hands together.
yeah,
Or at least I
But
wasn't,
then-
but the people were.
But then he goes and does that 8-second violation, doesn't get over the timeline, and it's just completely
stupid fouls on James Harden, and you know that James Harden is probably one of the best in the league to draw a foul, and he knows how to manipulate it, and he didn't even need to, and to be able to go from bad to worse, it was really hard seeing him on that sideline when you just saw him looking up. He was sat down on the baseline. He wasn't actually on the bench. He was sat down on the baseline staring up at Josh Smith and
he was
Dwight
actually
Howard.
talking to Josh Smith out of one of the timeouts, and it's like, the playoffs,
it's all hyper competitive.
You don't do that. You don't talk to the other team, pretty much. Like, for that
You're your
week
own
and a half
entity.
that you're competing, you hate the other team. I don't know. And Rondo especially, he's someone that's come across through the years as not friendly, ultra competitive, and super egotistical. Why is he? I know he's friends with Josh Smith, that's a fact, but you didn't see him in those Miami series back in the day for Boston having a chat with freaking Norris Cole.
No, there was no way that was ever happening.
Him and Rio Chalmers weren't
really
having
strange.
a chat.
I felt like his entire competitive outlook just completely switched from the team to the organisation. He got super competitive and super arrogant against the organisation, which could be good if you're still getting minutes and you want to prove to them that you are worth it, but he's not even getting that chance anymore, and it's going to be highly unlikely that he returns in the blue.
Yeah, no,
which is disappointing. But you saw Mark Cuban, who was on the sidelines of game 2, and he was just shaking his head every single time that Rondo touched the ball.
Mate, if you look in retrospect at what they gave up to get him, man, how helpful would Crowder and Brandon Wright be right now, and Jameer Nelson?
Especially now that Jameer Nelson and JJ Barea are playing some really good point minutes for the Mavs.
Yeah.
They're getting them along. Their bench is really kind of flourishing, and being able to have Brandon Wright and being able to have a Jay Crowder.
Well, they just don't have a second rim protector.
No, they don't.
Once Tyson Chandler's out of the game, that lane is open for driving.
Yeah. Especially when you've got now Josh Smith, it'll be yet to see. We'll be yet to see.
The resurgence of Josh Smith, we'll talk about that later, but
Who knows?
What a game 2 for him.
Absolutely
2 games,
massive.
actually.
Absolutely massive.
Mate, I don't want to spend the night talking about Rondo,
we won't. So
mate, I'm gonna give a quick tribute to my fallen hero, mate.
Mike's all yours.
I really loved you in Boston, but what you're doing now, just pull your freaking finger out, bud. Still love ya. Cheers. I'm not gonna scull it. No, sorry, Rajon. Not tonight. Not wasting a beer on that performance. But
good point,
mate.
Very good point. We're gonna move it right along, and we're kind of bringing it 2 days ago. Coach Bud, Mike Budenholzer of the Atlanta Hawks.
The Hawkies.
The Hawkies. He got acknowledged to being Coach of the Year. And I think it just speaks absolute volumes of what the
Hawks have done. Let's just give him a clap, mate, because that's a freaking impressive effort this season.
Really, a lot of people were disagreeing, saying that Steve Kerr should get it. A lot of people were talking about Jason Kidd and Brad Stevens, Greg Popovich, who was always in the mix, and those 5 were really the forerunners, but they were the 2 that were the cut above the rest. And a lot of people did argue that, like yourself, that Steve Kerr had the better team. He had the better win percentage. He had the better differential from last season as to how many games won and lost.
And he definitely had an amazing season of coaching.
He did, and I don't think that this landmark for Budenholzer took anything away from what Steve Kerr has
No way. And I think, especially the way Atlanta finished the season, they got to 60 wins, which for an Eastern Conference team, it hasn't been done in a while, and that was
in a very long while.
That was great. And the Hawks, they're so well coached. They don't have one player that you go, he's a superstar. Oh my gosh, they've got good players, don't get me wrong, but no real superstar. They move the ball. really similar to the Spurs offense, of course. But
Very.
wow, like Budenholzer really taken that team from being kind of nowhere last year, like just fell into the 8th seed, had to convince themselves to kind of just roll into the playoffs, and now it's like, fuck, like they're a contender in the East.
They're a massive contender in the East.
How exciting.
And it's really exciting for them. I'm really stoked about it. He attributed this trophy to him and Greg Popovich's relationship.
Yeah.
Which I think is enormous. And I feel like that camaraderie of coaching, it kind of, we get so fixated on players and we get so fixated on organizations that the coaches tend to get a little bit of a nudge just to the sidelines, and to see that there's that kind of camaraderie between all of them, that mutual respect. It was really heartwarming to kind of see, especially in such a volatile situation as the playoffs are, to see that he's still recognizing what made him where he is today, and he said it beautifully in his press conference. So hats off to you, bud.
Yeah. Hats off to you, bud. Budenholzer.
And in recent news, it's been a bit of a shock outside of the playoffs in the 9th seed. In the 9th seed for the Western Conference, the Oklahoma City Thunder recently resigned Scott Brooks, the head coach.
Wow.
Which no one really saw coming. There was kind of hints at it.
I don't know if no one saw it coming in the sense,
no,
because a lot of media heads have been calling for it.
But media talk shit all the time, and so it's not... It's you know what I mean? Like, it's always going to be... We are the media.
I don't know how.
And the media
no one
hype shit
qualified
up
us,
so quickly. We hype the out of things.
Yeah, but...
So it's no surprise that people were always calling for his head, simply because of the amount of raw talent that he's got in there. He's got KD, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka, Enes Kanter. That's a really big starting four.
Dion Island's in there?
Screw Dion.
No.
But having...
We sold our condos weeks ago.
No, months ago. Probably years ago.
No, mine was still there this year. I thought OKC resurgence would happen.
Nope.
Nope.
No, I counted that out a long time ago.
Still taking fadeaway 23-footers.
That's why he got that number on his back.
Do you reckon he went to like an advanced statistician one day and he's like, what is the worst shot I can take? Sounds like fadeaway, turn around, 23-footers. And Dion's like, that's my shot.
That's my shot.
No one's going to defend me on that shot.
No one's going to.
I'll hit one in like 36 and everyone will think I'm a baller.
Yeah. And he's just there for the highlight reel.
Still, by the way, Dion, congrats for winning Tweet of the Year, by the way. I don't know if you saw that, but the one that said he posted a video and it's like Dion Waiters like 24 points versus Wiz, and he just wrote, he linked the video in and goes, men lie, women lie, buckets don't. We're back on Dion Waiters Island now.
Buckets do not lie.
Buckets don't lie.
Oh man. So yeah, it's what do you make of the actual resignation or revoking, whichever side you're going to take, whether it was a coach's perspective or a management perspective, and what do you think of OKC's chances in the future?
Well, first of all, I got to say I agree that kind of getting rid of Scotty Brooks was the right way to go. I think this year, I think they should have made the playoffs. Even with the injuries they had, you've still got some really good talent in there. And don't forget, Serge Ibaka didn't go down till about 4 weeks to go in the season. They had Westbrook pretty much for most part of it, and he was playing insane. But I mean, especially the guys they brought in the trade deadline, like, it just didn't seem like they were actually being coached in a way. I think guys like Enes Kanter, who else you got? DJ Augustine. They brought in the right pieces, but you're still seeing like Westbrook ISOs every play. You're seeing Dion Waiters ISOs, and it's just like, man, like if they could just spread the ball a bit more. And also, I think on the defensive end, I don't think he was coaching defense at all, because I think the last few games of the season, they were giving up like freaking 113 points to average teams.
It was just shootouts.
Yeah.
That was all it is. And it's like when Russell Westbrook wasn't on, their team wasn't on. So I felt like it was definitely a good move. What I saw from Scott Brooks was he was more of a brilliant coach at establishing camaraderie and creating chemistry outside of tactics. He was able to kind of bring a team together and really make them as a unit. You heard that through KD's MVP speech last year.
For sure.
You could definitely feel that there's something there, and I feel like that's something that Scott Brooks has achieved very well. But I feel when it comes to crunch time, OKC can't rely on their players to make the plays. They've got to rely on the coaches to make the plays for the players to execute.
I think it might, I know this. Imagine Jay Kidd or Brad Stevens on that team coaching, even when KD went down, Barker went down. If you just get some plays out of timeouts, like in crunch time, like how much better does that make your team? And obviously they've already got the raw talent there.
Yeah.
If it's being coached in the right way, that's undoubtedly a playoff team, even without those two out.
So going into the future, do you expect them to get into the playoffs next season all?
I think regardless,
all injuries
I think a freaking cockroach could coach that team next year, and if they didn't have injuries, they're going to make it in on raw talent anyway. But I think if they get the right coach, and I'm not sure who that guy is, we can't discuss it today, but we don't know who it is. I'm not going to speculate who it is because it's way too early. But
it's far too early.
I think with the right coach, they're all in for next season. And if they keep the guys they brought in mid-season, they're looking fantastic to not only make the playoffs but contend again for sure, 100%.
Most certainly.
And I really hope they do get the right coach, because I would love to see Westbrook and KD on the same team win a title. Even if they went separate ways after that, I just think that'd be amazing. It'd
be a really nice kind of...
Yeah. And KD's already had
nice cap on it.
A great career. MVP last season. He's won the scoring title 4 times, but the guy needs a title, and it would be awesome for them to get it together.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to next season for them if they can get the right coach, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, but R.I.P. Scott Brooks.
R.I.P. Scott Brooks, and R.I.P. our lighting situation, which always goes off.
Apologies, guys.
Around this time.
Let's talk to people through what it requires to get lights.
So what happens is we do this out the back here. We've got a one spotlight that's on sensor. There's no way to actually leave it on.
Yeah. So Sue made a bad choice with the electricity.
So we're trying to keep the electricity down. We got to try and find a way of tweaking our sensor to stay on for extended periods of time. I think that's the only thing. But
100%.
This is very makeshift.
This is a makeshift set, ladies and gentlemen. But
and a good one nonetheless.
It does the job for sure.
That it most certainly does. And speaking of jobs being done,
I love your segues tonight, mate. I love them.
I've done a few of them. Jobs are getting done.
Oh wow!
We're putting it in. We're going to highlight a few of our favourite matchups that have eventuated over the past 2 games in the playoffs. At the moment, they are all 2-0 for every single series outside of the Spurs and the Clippers, where the Spurs got one back in an absolute nail-biter overtime today. What a game that was.
Mate, what a game.
What an absolute game. And within that, we actually saw a really, really good matchup. A really old school matchup where 2 guys were just firing on all cylinders for the other team. Tim Duncan versus Blake Griffin was surprisingly brilliant. At the start, we assumed that this would be a primarily point guard affair.
100% has not been.
Between Tony Parker and Chris Paul. No. And it just hasn't been. It's been Blake Griffin.
Tony Parker hasn't showed up yet in the first 2 games, and he doesn't look right.
He doesn't look right. He looks injured. And that's just the way that the Spurs are. But Coach Pop can put in a guy like Patty Mills.
big shot, big balls Marco
Bellinelli, or they can chuck in Corey Joseph.
Are you out?
No, I've still got a little left.
Fam. Mount.
That's that Rondo skull for you.
Yeah. Fuck you,
but he's able to kind of maneuver those. the two staple marks in this team now, where this series is going, is definitely Blake Griffin and Tim Duncan.
Yeah, and man, they both had two huge performances tonight. What an amazing game, and down the stretch as well. Like, both of them hitting big shots. Blake Griffin kind of had two really clutch turnovers, which was terrible.
Oh, just absolutely howler.
And it's a shame because it's kind of, I feel like that probably overshadowed what a great game he had. He nearly had a triple-double.
He had a triple-double.
Oh, he did.
He ended
I
up
didn't
with
see
a
him get.
triple-double.
I didn't see him get the 10th rebound.
He got 12 rebounds, 11 assists.
Wow. Yeah, insane numbers. And he's really showed up for this game. So I saw one of his putback dunks today. It was kind of scary.
He's still got that scary presence, and we haven't seen it at all during this regular season. So to see now that he's pushed up the intensity, really getting behind it, crushing those long diving alley-oops, it's that little Blake Griffin of old, but he's still got that slight arsenal where he can still hit that J at the top of the key.
Really good on the mid-range jumper now. He's
starting to really become really consistent with that shot. That's been a massive factor for the Clips.
They need a bit of spread the floor, because it felt like maybe a year or two ago, it's like him and DeAndre are kind of playing, not the same position, but they're both close to the rim guys.
They're both very intense in the rim.
And DeAndre doesn't really have a post-up game. He's more so there for the dunks, pick and roll.
From the front of the rim.
But yeah, Blake's obviously been working on this mid-range game for quite a bit, and he's really hitting that jumper nicely now.
Yeah, and it's good to see.
For sure. I mean, it's not that fun to watch.
No,
but
but
God, who cares? It's
playoffs. It's playoffs.
It's
all
playoffs.
tactics.
You need to be able to spread the floor. I even saw him take a three today, which I was like, what are you doing? But
he still is trying to work it out. So between those two, that has been a really good matchup.
Great matchup.
There's been a couple of others.
Mate, I've got a few for you that I really enjoyed. And some of these, it's not so much that, like, the two players are putting up big stats against each other. It's more
just seeing these two forces collide. And
two
it's
heads
always...
butt. And, mate, we saw two the other
it.
night. Zaza Pachulia and Nikola Mirotic on the floor scruffing at it.
Just Euro.
Wow, I loved it.
That was brilliant.
I seriously loved it. It got me so fired up.
It was such a Euro fight.
Such a Euro fight.
Straight on the ground. There were heads being butt. There were elbows being thrown in back play.
Possible 30 for 30 in the making, that rivalry right there. Mate, I can't
But it's good to
wait.
see, because the Milwaukee Bucks haven't been in this situation for a very long time.
Yeah, no.
And now that they're there and
competitive.
they're against a very local rival, 90 minutes down the stretch, and you're in Chicago.
Seriously.
And Chicago aren't a likable team. They're not a likable team. They are not when you're on the court with them. They are rough. They're all energy. They're in your face.
Defensive. They'll foul you hard.
They'll foul you hard.
Joakim Noah's
They get in your face.
dick.
To be able to have that, I think that it really is building that rivalry that we were hoping it was going to establish. And I think that it's going to take a lot of disciplinary, a lot of discipline. We'll just leave it at that.
A lot of discipline.
Disciplinary conduct was where I was going with that.
Did you hear about that Mirotic actually ended up with some kind of injury? I don't know what it was. It was just a strain, but after that little scuffle...
Just straining his elbow.
I was just like, what the dude? Like, it's playoffs. Get back out there and hit a J in his face or dunk on him. Like, that's what you do.
That's what you do. You want to shame them.
Exactly.
Absolutely shame them. But
and there's a few other little niggles in that game. I know Aaron Brooks loves getting into that shit.
Yeah, he got into it.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler was there as well. Yeah, it really kind of... People were butting heads.
Oh,
it was really good. It was really good to watch. Jimmy Buckets always gets in their faces.
He loves it.
He got into one with John Henson, I think it was.
Yeah, John Henson,
there were a few little niggles, and that's what we absolutely love here at Trash Talk.
Because
we love the trash talk. We love the butts. We're
all about the game that is not the game.
Yeah, and that's the way we like it. We're all about bringing back the
I'm
beer.
excited for I think going back into Milwaukee, if the crowd can get up for it, I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee can steal a game back at least.
You'd hope so.
Take it back to Chicago. I don't know. I'm looking... For two teams that are really defensive-minded, they slow the game down a lot.
And they're
both elite defensive teams. I was like, oh, we were saying the other day, we were texting during the game, it's like, it's a bit of a slow game. Occasionally D-Rose will do something, or Jimmy Buckets or Giannis will do something kind of crazy. But the amount of like niggle and shit there was in game 2, it's like, I'm excited for the rest of this series.
Yeah, this
really kind of taking
kicked
off
in game 2, which I was really excited about. I was really happy to kind of
for sure
to see that. What else have you got for me,
mate? Another good one. We're going west. Not so much stats again, but battle of the power forwards, which we predicted would be amazing. Anthony Davis versus Draymond Green.
It's been a really good series.
Wow.
It's been a really good series. Seeing this young, up-and-coming, just absolute juggernaut on both ends of the floor in Anthony Davis coming against the stalwart.
Oh my God. The second rounder with the biggest chip on his shoulder you have ever seen from Michigan State.
The guy with the best stank face coming back on D.
And by the way, there should be a limit for how many of those faces he can pull a game. And when I say that, I mean no. Keep doing it after every assist. Do it after every rebound if you can. It's the most entertaining thing. One of his... There was a point in the game the other day. Yeah. Whoa, shit. I don't want to play you, but there was a point in the game the other day where kind of both teams are struggling on offense, a few air balls and shit like that, and you could tell the crowd was kind of lulling down, like, when's Golden State going to hit a bucket? Klay Thompson was a bit cold, Steph Curry was sitting on the bench, and all of a sudden, Draymond Green gets this, like, steal, ends up with the ball in transition, tosses up the alley-oop to Andre Iguodala, and
the crowd just
lights up.
To be in the middle of Oracle Arena would be
pay my left nut right now to be there.
Straight
but
up, would do the full Lance Armstrong.
Wow, that was short.
That was a really
That was a short lighting issue right there.
I'm off it on that.
I'm so off this. I love how I'm not even pumped. I'm just angry.
Welcome back.
Welcome
if
back.
you just if you went to go and grab yourself a cup of tea, it's probably for a good thing.
Glad you had a tea. Enjoy the tea.
How do you have your tea?
I've actually been drinking a lot of green tea lately.
Really?
Yeah.
Like jasmine?
No, just standard Lipton green tea.
Green Dragon tea?
Yeah. I don't know. Not in the mornings, just in the arvo at work. Gets me through kind of the 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. stretch.
What?
Down the stretch, I need some tea in clutch situations at work.
And speaking of stretch, we've got... I can't keep these somewhere.
I
can't keep them up.
You're going to make me vomit.
I'm going to have to. But AD and Draymond Green has been a really entertaining and a really clinical display of how basketball is being played at the moment, especially between two
younger guys.
Juggernauts that in the future may...
They're just giving each other grief.
Yeah, they've been absolutely...
Love it.
They've been absolutely brilliant. What else have you got for me?
I got one more for you, mate.
One more matchup.
And it's one that really surprised me because we talked about John Wall versus Kyle Lowry. I'm not sure if you saw game 2 the other day. Bradley Beal is going at Kyle Lowry 100 miles an hour.
It's incredible.
There's a vine. Here's the vine. Don't have it with me now, but for you at home, you're watching it. He's running back on defense, and you can tell he's just going like you, come at me, like kind of thing. Kyle Lowry had a stinker of a game. Game 1, he's fouled out.
Yeah, it gave away like 3 stupid fouls in game 2 as well. He didn't even get the chance to go back in.
And Beal has just been like, we kind of counted out Washington just because of their coaching, but man, a healthy Beal and Wall backcourt with Paul Pierce and. Like, their front court's kind of woken up as well.
But especially their bench has been surprisingly brilliant.
Yeah, they have. Out of Beal right now. I don't know, I see almost a younger Paul Pierce in the way, like, he's hitting shots, he's getting back, he's talking trash, like, he's playing that kind of old basketball style, like,
it's really good to see. Really.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, just being the paint Beal. And then just being able to pull up on a dime and then just talking shit behind it. Like you get like the new school where you've got Klay Thompson and all those two guards that are hitting insane shots, making stupid numbers, but they're not rubbing it in the face of their opponents. And that's what we're really enjoying out of Beal.
I mean, John Wall's kind of always been like someone that he seems like he's a bit niggly, says a few things. He always likes to kind of, if he does something big, he'll kind of get
Yeah,
the
he'll
crowd going.
champ it up. He'll start pumping
Beal's
the
always
chest.
seemed like that little polite kid that sits in the corner and hits his threes.
Yeah.
And, mate, we've seen the kid just turn into an adult this
Absolute
series.
animal.
And it's
Absolute
great.
animal.
Great.
Really happy about it. But the problem is that on the flip side, a lot of these games have somewhat been disappointing from the lack of competition. So a lot have been very, very surprising. I think we were expecting a hell of a lot of a closer affair in these
They had the one
playoffs.
overtime game, that first game, but I honestly, like, Lowry fouling out in that game before it even got to overtime, and Grievous Vasquez hits, like, the shot to send it to. It's like, congrats on getting to overtime, but I think
they got
Washington's
blown out.
still going to get...
They got blown out.
They got blown out in
I think it was
overtime.
13-4.
Yeah.
Overtime.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
was just-
and that's just not having any floor general really on there. And Kyle Lowry is Toronto Raptors, pretty much. Him and DeRozan.
Most certainly.
And when you don't have one of those two on the floor in overtime, in clutch situations, and he's kind of their clutch, he takes the big shots for them. If he's not on there, like, what's going on? Like,
Exactly.
you need
There's
him there.
no driving force.
what's-
Everyone seems a little bit lost when Kyle Lowry isn't on the...
And don't give me this Lou Williams shit. I know he's
He's a great
good.
role player.
He's great. He comes off the bench. He's kind of like a Jamal Crawford in the way he just few dribbles, step back, like hits stupid three. Like, good on him. But that's not the guy that is like in your face. Like,
No.
we're gonna win this game. He's
not the one. No, it's not.
He's
He'll
not
be
the
the
bull-
one in your face, but he's not the one putting the team on his back and pushing
He's
his
not
team
the bulldog
to
of
win.
Kyle Mike Lowry we saw earlier in the season.
No, not at all.
And we haven't seen Kyle Mike Lowry.
Not at all.
this
So
season.
most certainly, the Toronto Raptors have been very, very disappointing.
Yeah.
And just the way that not only the losses, but just the way that they've conducted themselves over the losses. And I feel like that this is a little bit similar to in the West, the Houston Rockets and the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, yeah.
We always thought that Texas matchup would be a little bit more of a contest.
Yeah.
Rather than it being pretty much right now, it's just been a blowout.
It's just been
the
the
Mavs
Houston
have
show.
kind of been there. It's been the Houston show, and that's essentially people from the Mavs dropping off. Like I think Dirk Nowitzki was 4 for 19 or something in that
They're
second
asking
game.
a lot of Dirk right now.
They're
and
asking a
the
lot
poor
of it.
guy, he can hardly run.
He can hardly run because he's working so much on defense.
And he's playing huge minutes for them as well, like stupidly big minutes. That for a
for
guy
an
that
87-year-old, it's really difficult
It's
on
insane.
those legs, and
never been done before.
It's never been done before, so it's been a
Besides
little
Tim
bit
Duncan.
disappointing. He just seems a little bit gassed.
Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks series, they've kind of let it slip a lot. I don't think they'll be able
Mate,
to catch
not
it back
now
up.
that we learnt this morning, Chandler Parsons is done for the season with, I think, what was it, a knee injury or something?
I think it was a knee contortion or something like that.
Yeah.
Contusion.
Rondo's done just because of his stinky attitude. I can't see it. They
I
don't,
really can't
that's
see
two
them.
kind of playmakers there.
Unless Monte Ellis and Dirk absolutely blow up in one game simultaneously and bring it back to Houston, I can't see them getting it out of Dallas.
I can't see them winning a game, to be quite fair, and that really sucks. We love Dirk.
And I think it's a little bit because of another massive surprise. Josh Smith turned up.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Like
turn
out
up,
of
Josh Smith.
nowhere. 8 assists in 1 quarter.
Yeah.
8 assists in 1 quarter. That's, for a 4-guard, that was insane. The 4-5 pick and roll that he was running with Dwight Howard was something to witness. I'm not a massive Houston fan. I just don't.
No.
I've never been a real fan of that team, but it was so entertaining to watch.
It was
just
quite,
every single possession was Josh Smith on the corner, on the elbow, taking Dirk out of it. Tyson Chandler having absolutely nothing in the backcourt.
Chandler, wow.
Which is a
Tough job, by the way.
A really tough job. Like, he's not been playing bad. He's just hasn't had the help that he usually gets.
He's the only rim protector on that squad.
Exactly. As soon as he gets pulled out, that lane is straight open.
Wide open.
Wide open.
Dirk ain't contesting.
That's
at the
been
rim.
another massive disappointment.
What about? I've just got to say, like, throwback to Jay Smooth. Like, I'm used to watching him when he used to play for Atlanta in those Boston series, and he always kind of showed up. This is before he started taking like bricky shots, played closer to the rim. This is exactly how he used to play, and I actually really liked him as a player, Jay Smooth. And it's so good to see that he's kind of gone back to that, because I thought in Detroit, like, yeah, he deserved the criticism he got because he started playing like an idiot. But I feel like that also had a lot to do with the team around him and the coaching staff that he was put under. Obviously, Stan Van Gundy's good, but like he just wasn't fitting that team. He wasn't taking it seriously. He's with almost a contender now. Obviously, they had the injuries, but he obviously something's clicked in his head.
I still wouldn't say that they're a contender.
I don't think so either.
I feel like even the Clippers are better than them at the moment. I feel like 100% the Clippers
agree
would
with
be
you.
able to beat them. At the moment, I'm looking at Golden State Warriors, San Antonio Spurs, Houston, and the Clips.
Yeah, for sure.
Four teams that would go
maybe even
down
Memphis.
order.
Memphis maybe on the border.
On the border.
They've got an easy matchup. One thing you forget about the playoffs is that defense wins championships, right? And the regular season, a lot of teams kind of back off a little, conserve themselves, make sure they're ready for the postseason. Someone that's such a huge factor, doesn't get talked about in the regular season at all, and he's not a stats guy. Tony Allen is just such a defensive fucking beast.
The Secretary of Defense.
Hell, and he's showed up this series. He's just all over the place. Like, he's just like getting steals. He's like
some
pestering.
of his hustle plays are incredible as well.
He's giving Damian Lillard such a hard time. He's giving poor little CJ McCollum a hard time.
Oh, poor little CJ.
Poor
like
CJ.
You just wished that they had Wesley Matthews on that perimeter defense.
Imagine this series with both teams being 100% healthy, how fun it would be.
It'd be so much more entertaining having Aaron Aflalo.
Even just if Aflalo was back, I feel like it'd be a little bit better.
Yeah. Having Aflalo there and having Wesley Matthews in the corner would be a massive boost to this Portland side, but unfortunately they've been rattled by injury. I can see it going back to Memphis.
I think I can see Portland taking one game just out of pride. They need it, and they need to do it.
I don't
for
even
pride.
think it'll be out of pride. I think their next game, Portland's going to win it. I think that Damian Lillard's going to have a good game, and LaMarcus Aldridge will be LaMarcus Aldridge.
He has been LaMarcus Aldridge. He was unreal today.
He has been, and that's not going to...
He's hitting threes as well. Like, he's doing way more than his team needs him.
Exactly.
Well, sorry, his team needs him 100% to do everything.
I think he's landed more threes than Damian Lillard has.
Yeah, he has.
Series.
Yep.
It's one of those things where I feel like their next game is going to be massive. Upon that is going to be whether I see this going to a 6-game series or whether I see it as a 5-game series, but at the moment I can't see it getting any further than that.
It's a tough one, and I feel bad for Portland. I mean,
I do as well.
They're not healthy,
a soft spot for
and
them.
we really like the players on that roster, and I just think Memphis are going to be too big, too strong, as we predicted in the first place.
So as a wrap up, I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions about our overview, how you see the rest of the series going.
I thought you were going to ask me about like my health. I'm doing well.
Are you doing well?
Had a few allergies yesterday. Woke up thinking I had the flu today, but the beers have helped. So
yeah. We were thinking about giving
How
up
about
on
you?
Not too bad. As much as I can do, just doing as much rock climbing as I can, just trying to rebuild a little bit of strength.
It's always good.
I'm taking the unicorn for a walk most mornings. So it's been kind of healthy. So thank you for your concern. So we're gonna wrap it through to the West. We're gonna do the exact opposite of what we did last week. Golden State Warriors, New Orleans Pelicans. How have you felt about it so far? Where do you see it going?
Mate, I think I've been impressed by the Pelicans. I think they've put up a better fight than I would have expected. AD's kind of showed up. He got shut down pretty hard in that fourth quarter in Game 2 by Draymond Green. But I think they've kind of turned up. It's Norris Cole's playing bigger minutes than I think he should for them. That's a bit funny.
They're still holding on.
They're kind of hanging in there in the games. Like, it's not... They haven't been blown out yet, which is a great sign. Look, I think Golden State is by far the better team, but would not surprise me if they got one game at home. And I think we're going to see some pretty exciting basketball. Smoothie King Center. We're coming at you.
Blow up.
Yeah, I think that's where that series is headed.
Houston, Dallas.
Oh, mate, that's good as done.
Yeah.
Good as done. Houston's got that.
4-zip.
4-zip, 100%.
Going down the line, we got Clippers Spurs.
Clippers Spurs, wow.
7.
1-1 I still stand by it. I think it's going 6 or 7.
Yeah, I do as well.
Spurs really showed up today in the clutch. Clippers kind of threw it away. I think a couple of their fans will be pretty upset. Blake Griffin turnover near the end. Clippers.
Which fans?
I mean, Miami's fans from last year.
Yeah.
The Lakers fans. The Lakers fans.
Yeah,
of
the
4
Lakers
years ago.
fans of 4 years ago. No, they'll definitely bring it back. It'll either be a 6 or 7.
By the way, that's like I kind of thought like San Antonio would be too much with the way they move the ball. Clippers really impressed me.
They really have.
I hate them. I still hate them, but they've impressed me. Kind of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre all showed up big time for them.
Real big minutes, and they've all kind of held on to their own. I think that Game 6 is going to be the decisive one for me. I think if the Clips win Game 6, if it goes to 6, I think that Spurs will win it in 6, or the Clips will win it in 7. I feel like that's just the way it's going to roll out for me. But now we got it on 4 and 5, Portland, Memphis.
Oh, mate, like we just discussed, I think Memphis are going to be too good this series. I think they've got the win. It's just whether Portland can pull one together at home, which I hope they do. I think those fans deserve it. Especially the season they were having before the injuries happened. They were pretty unreal. I hope Lillard can pull it together, because I love Lillard, and we haven't seen him so far this series. So I'd like to see just one kind of all-time Lillard just balls to the wall game before it's all over.
I think it'll either go to 5 games or 6 games with Memphis winning.
I can't see Portland getting swept. I really can't. Just because of how stubborn LaMarcus Aldridge is.
Exactly. He just keeps hanging around.
Yeah.
He didn't endure this left hand injury throughout the rest of the season.
Fuck, he's a battler, man. No chance. He's stubborn as.
Hats off to you, LaMarcus.
Yeah.
I friggin' love you, LA. You're one of my favorite players.
Yeah, that's honestly amazing what he's done with that injury. Insane.
Yeah. Incredible. We're going to head it over to the East Atlanta Nets. Do you see the Nets bringing one back?
I mean, the games have been a lot closer than I think they should have, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if De'Ron can actually start hitting some shots when he should. Wouldn't be surprised if they can pull one back at home. Their home games aren't really a factor, though. Brooklyn doesn't have a great home crowd.
The Barclays Center is a terrible venue.
It's more of a tourist venue.
It's a music venue.
Yeah, but
it's just all soundproofed. No noise.
I don't even want to give much attention to the Nets right now. I think that series is over. Atlanta's going to win comfortably. Either in 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Either in 4 or 5.
Most definitely. I agree with that. I actually do believe that they're going to get swept.
Yeah. I think
that
so.
Atlanta's going to catch another gear after this Mike Budenholzer Coach of the Year thing.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going to catch another gear. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen.
For sure.
Moving it back down.
Cleveland and my boys, the Celtics.
I'll leave it up to you.
Mate, look, Celtics have, to their credit, they haven't exactly been blown out in both their first 2 games in Cleveland.
Which is always it's really good to see a young team with a young coach having
at least taking
this kind
it
of
to them.
success, like taking it to them, having to have LeBron and Kyrie really step up, because if they didn't step up, Boston would be in it.
Yeah, I think so too.
They'd be in it. They might have even grabbed that last game back if LeBron and Kyrie didn't turn up. Unfortunately, they're going to turn up regardless.
They are, because that's how good they are.
That's how good they are.
Mate, it's crazy. It's such a crazy series because Cleveland have clearly got the best, probably 3 players in the series. But like LeBron and Kyrie almost count for having the best 4 players. That's how good they are. And I honestly think that Boston's done it. Like, obviously LeBron and Kyrie are going to get like their 20 a night. Like, that's just, it's almost a given. But I feel like Boston's done a pretty good job of defending them. Evan, I don't know if you've seen any of the vines of Evan Turner defending LeBron, and he's doing that old like Rondo thing where he's like standing up, like denying him the ball. It's freaking awesome.
It's good. It's just that
it's really
playoff
awesome
atmosphere that really gets you into the game, and you
the
just
boys,
start yelling at the screen.
They've all had their moments. We just look. we're such a young team. I don't expect us to win the series, but, mate, I'm just telling you now, the Boston fans are going to show up either tomorrow or game.
100%.
They're going to show up in both.
I feel like the Boston fans are going to turn up. It just depends on whether the Boston Celtics are intimidated by that and succumb under the pressure.
Big lights to play under.
It's really big lights to play under. Those banners are heavy. So to see those kind of... It'll be interesting to see how a young team like that reacts.
Yeah.
But as LeBron said in his post-match interview, these guys are a very well-coached team.
Very well-coached team.
They're a very well-coached team. And
hats off to Stevens in his first ever playoff kind of appearance. He's looking like such a confidence coach. Like, he's not afraid to run these plays out of timeouts still. A few of them haven't gone the way that they were in the regular season, only because a team like Cleveland is stepping up their defensive game. But, I mean, they're still running these amazing plays to get, like, Kelly Olynyk open threes. And it's like, if he knocks down just a few more, that game's way tighter, and someone's going to step up and take a shot.
It's going to be interesting to see how they react to...
One other thing, Isaiah Thomas has looked really good.
He has.
He's not shied away from the fact that he's our go-to player. He's come off the bench. He scored over 20 points in both games.
For a 5'9".
And I don't know if you heard the stats from his first game, from game one. He's like the first guy since LeBron for his playoff debut to be like over 20 points, over 3 rebounds, and over 7 assists or something. So, like, I mean, I know
hats off to him. It's a specific.
It's very
stat,
specific, but
hats off to him.
Still amazing.
He has been willing this Boston team along, and it's really entertaining to watch because it's really nice to see a player have that kind of potential and be able to retain it during a playoff match, because a lot of people don't really get that opportunity.
He's got a chip on his shoulder and he's not afraid to take it to anyone. I love it.
A player that I really want to see that happen to is Goran Dragic. I want to see him in the playoffs one day.
I think so too.
See him next year with a healthy Heat.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll step it up just like Thomas has.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's not go on the hometown team too much, Seko. Let's move on.
Wait, are you deviating away from Boston?
Yeah, I am, because we got to wrap this thing up. Schreiber's coming. We got to drink more beers.
We got to drink more beers on your Schreiber. So we got number 3 and number 6. We got Chicago and Milwaukee.
Mate,
they're locked horns.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see. It's a really
nice.
aggressive series.
Bulls have looked good, not going to lie. Jimmy Butler's really turned up these playoffs. Derrick Rose is starting looking like Derrick Rose again, which I'm stoked with.
Yeah.
Because, man, the amount of shit that guy's gone through in the past few seasons, I'm just happy to see him. He looks happy. He looks happy.
He does.
And I hope he can stay healthy, and I hope he can be a factor in this Eastern Conference. But yeah, Milwaukee's taking it to him. Credit to J Kidd and the boys. I just hope for some more good games. I see Chicago wrapping this in 5 to 6 games.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's definitely going to bring it at home.
That's it. It'll be really interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel like Chicago will either get out with a sweep or 5 games.
Yeah,
I feel like I would really like it to go back to Chicago. That's my personal preference. I'd really prefer for it to stay there. I think that it'll establish more of a rivalry.
Yep.
It'll start to get 100%. The fans going. It'll start to get Milwaukee a little bit more hyped up and get a lot more expectation for a very young and very talented Bucks team. I personally am missing Jabari Parker. I feel like I'd really love to see a young, talented kid really go at the Bulls, especially a guy with
playoff experience would do him wonders as well.
It'd do him absolute wonders.
Imagine the confidence he'd come out with next season.
It's a bit of a shame, unfortunately, that he's
rest up.
He's got to rest up. Rest up,
buddy.
Parker.
Looking forward to seeing you next season.
So yeah, I personally think it'll be a 4-5 series.
Yeah.
And on to the last one. Wizards and Raps.
Mate,
do you see the Raps getting an away win?
Oh, bro, I mean, from what I've seen out of them, it just seems like something's wrong. Something's really wrong with that team. I don't know if it got mentioned in the regular season, but I don't think Dwayne Casey's a great coach. I haven't seen much out of him I can't remember any moments in the season where I was like, yeah, like, well played. And he's definitely not showing it these playoffs.
No.
And I don't know, something's very wrong with that team, because this isn't the Toronto Raptors we saw last playoffs take it to Brooklyn and take it to 7 games.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's pretty terrible that they let 2 games slide at home.
At home, that is enormous. So, I mean, historically, they're not great at home.
No.
They are better on the road, surprisingly.
That is a surprise.
Whether it's all the southern players being up there in the cold. But,
True.
I mean, going down to DC it'll be interesting to see whether they can. I think that they might. I'm at like 30%.
Yeah.
That they'll get and make it not a sweep. I just really want it not to be a sweep because we hyped this playoffs up so
I was
much.
really excited for this one. I'm kind of disappointed.
I was really excited for it. The 4-5s are usually the most interesting.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it'll...
I mean, at the end of the day, you still got to look at it. They've got 2 guys on that team that can really change this series, and that's Kyle Lowry, and who we haven't seen so far, and DeMar DeRozan, who's played okay, but I think he's still got another gear to go. If they can just switch it on and be like, hey guys, like this, like we're not going down without a fight, they can at least make this series interesting. I still think the Wizards, with Paul Pierce in there, what an addition that has been. The tenacity they're playing with, like they look so fired up, and I'm really glad, because they really lacked that at the end of the season. I just think they're going to be too good, and winning 2 games away from home to start off a series is just...
That's a massive
That's crazy,
boost.
Real crazy, and they'd be on that jet home just going, we got this. Like,
yeah.
And they're not in a cocky way, in a way like...
They'll be out of customs, and Paul Pierce will be there smiling and
100%.
He'll be putting his passport in his drawer.
Fuck yeah, Paul.
Paul Pierce
Great
doesn't
quote.
want to go back through customs.
Doesn't want to go to another country to play in the playoffs. And I agree, Paul. It's a joke.
Did you just call like the entirety of Canada?
The city of Canada hates me. That was another fucking joke. Canada hates me.
There's actually been petitions, so on
Canada,
that note,
I'm going to be there later this year.
before you get headhunted,
hit me up. I actually am.
You'll hear him in the yellow jumper.
Yeah, look out for the whale sweater. Oh, I forgot I'm going there now. I'm going to get murdered.
Yeah, you're going to get absolutely murdered. Just don't go through Fresno.
Yeah. Oh, no, Fresno's California, bro. I survived that.
You did?
Survived it once.
Survived it once, won't again. So on that note, we're going to leave you with a little bit of Kendrick.
Mate, we did it. Week 2 of the playoffs.
Week 2 is of the playoffs. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you're cooking in... We hope you're cooking in the kitchen, listening to us, on the toilet, at work, listening to us, and just need an excuse to get out.
In the car, stuck in traffic because of the shithouse weather, listening to us.
Yeah, be safe on the roads, everyone, on the beaches.
Agreed.
This is Trash Talk with Fish and Seko.
Signing off for another week. Cheers, Fish. Great one.
Yeah, that beat.